my husband is cheating on me. Pastor, what should I do? Pray for your cheating husband. Christianity, it's generally a system that was built to oppress women.
Do not question your husband. He's your Lord. He's a man, period, point blank. You're a woman. You're here. Stay there.
The bishop can never be a woman. Altar boys, no altar girls. Islam, what do you mean I can't pray when I'm on my period? I'm dirty.
Do all feminists think the same? These 6 feminists will be tested with a series of difficult questions, and they'll be presented with a spectrum of options to choose from.
There are some places that women still have certain privileges. Well, for example, when they say women and children first, it's still a privilege to you that you are being put first.
That still also stems from like patriarchy. When they say women and children first, it doesn't come from a place of, oh, we value them. It's more of they see them as resources.
For you to be a true feminist, you actually have to have just a little bit of misandry in you.
Exactly.
How are you just okay with the people that keep winning?
Misandry may have stemmed from feminism, but feminism can and will never be misandry.
How will they confront their different points of view? The patriarchy has negatively impacted me.
So I have had to go through situations where I can't hold certain leadership roles because I'm a girl. When I was in high school, we were hosting student president elections. I wanted to be vice president, and at the time in my school, your manifesto could be anything. It could even be against the other person. This boy that wanted to be vice president as well, he would say things like, vote for me because I would give my all, unlike her, because she would have to come back from school and do this and do that because she's a girl. And then it sort of changed everyone's mindsets. Oh, you know what? Maybe he's even a better candidate because he has the time. Patriarchy would always put women in a viewpoint of not being able to do some things because they have other things to do. But if a woman says she's going to make time, there's nothing that should stop her from being that thing.
I would say this, it's quite minor, but still annoying, the part about the household chores, where it's you see the males in the house, it's only the women that are saying, go to the kitchen, go and do this, go and clean your room, this is how you do in your husband's house. And it's just My name is Chemaka Aya. I am 24 years old. I work as a data analyst and I also bake. I can remember I started doing a lot of household chores from the age of 12, 13. I actually used to hate going home because I know that as I go home now, is to go and be cooking and to be staying inside the kitchen and just to be doing every single thing. I mean, there was a time that my mother woke me up to boil water. She woke me up from my sleep. To boil water, I almost lost my mind. My brother was awake, my other sisters were there, but no, Chiamaka is the only person that can... Sorry. Okay, yes, you said I should be cooking. I've accepted my fate. I'm not cooking. Now you're telling me I should go and be serving my brother. Why? His leg is not working. You're telling me that, oh my God, I should clean his room. I never did that because, no offense to my mother, but I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna do that.
I strongly agree because most of the femphobia I've experienced is strongly because I am anything in relation to being like a woman. I'm an effeminate man. I've also been a beneficiary of patriarchy, but for me, I'm forced into thinking, why is somebody pissed that I am dressed in fabulous colors? Why is somebody feeling bad that I'm crying over a sitcom? I want to express my emotions the way I want to. I want to dress how I want to. I want to look how I want to. I want to keep my hair. I don't want to be forced to go into the barber's every other Saturday to cut my hair. Why? I have hair. It's growing. Let it grow.
I strongly agree because while I do benefit a lot from patriarchy just by being male, the thing is that in order for you to enjoy the full benefits of patriarchy, it's not just by being a man. You must be a classed, stoic, heterosexual man. And that is also another reason why I'm a passionate defender of feminism, because this is also, while obviously I'm not a woman, it's still a bit of a personal experience to me because patriarchy still impacts me in a certain way. And that's the reason why I'm perceived a certain way by other men because, oh, you're weak, you're feminine, you're this, you're that. I would never be considered a real man to them, despite the fact that I am literally a man because I'm male. I'm Vigioke. I am 20. I'm a writer studying computer science, and I'm a feminist ally. I mean, I could proudly identify as a feminist if need be, but when I'm in certain feminist spaces where I know that could be a bone of contention, I choose to rather identify as an ally. I don't want to be categorized as the same group of male feminists who only identify with feminism for, like the benefits. There have been many such instances where I am not considered a real man or being referred to using female pronouns like she, her, and I find it very disturbing, and I'm always constantly trying to break down this idea that even if though I'm referred to as a woman, that is not a bad thing. If people call me a woman, it's not a bad thing, because the intent behind calling me a woman is supposed to be as insulting, because being a woman is looked down as less in our society. I think society would want me to be a stoic, aggressive, dominant man, that kind of idea of a man, and because I don't necessarily pass what a man should be, therefore I wouldn't be considered a man.
A lot of the men in my life, in the way they kind of used the privilege and the access they've had to safeguard me, but it wasn't in the way that because I'm a woman, it's because I'm related to them. Mm-hmm. So then in that sense, I understand that maybe if it was another woman, they wouldn't have. I've also had experiences that weren't so great, and that's a result of patriarchy. But then also I've recognized that in circles where men may appreciate women who look more like me, I've experienced some sort of privilege. But then even in that sense, and then if we get into pretty privilege and stuff, it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. So many women, 9 in 10 women experience to a degree some sort of sexual assault or harassment. Yeah. And that's something that needs to be talked about. And that's just based off what's been reported. We don't even know what's not been reported.
I'm a very self-aware person, and I'm also very aware of the fact that I'm a very attractive woman. Yeah. You get so yes. Sometimes I do benefit from it, because I know that if I act a certain way, if I speak a little softer, if I look up, yeah. So things like that. I know that for sure. I've gotten drinks, I've gotten money, you get things like that. When I do want to get these things, I know how to act. Even though I'm going to act a certain way, one thing I will never stop being in any environment that I am is outspoken. I have a younger brother as well that definitely would have not known how to do half the things he knows how to do now if I didn't teach him, if I didn't drag his ear and tell him, okay, I'm going to the kitchen, you're coming with me.
Pause. Is it until we drag your ears before you subscribe to the channel? You've been watching these videos for a while. Just hit the subscribe button, it doesn't hurt. Now, let's get back into the show.
My mom was not very oh, he's a boy. Last, he will sweep. That's all he's going to do. But the cooking, the other little things that they deem fit for a woman to do, I was the one that taught him these things. Get.
Religious teachings reinforces the patriarchy.
I'm a Christian, believer in Jesus. A lot of the things around the Bible, it's usually the men taking charge. And there are some places that, when you read these stories, you're like, But then again, when you come to the general perspective of the true teachings of Jesus, I don't think in any form it is really supporting the patriarchy.
Christianity and Islam are fundamentally patriarchal, and one of the core teachings in both of them is, the whole idea that, the first humans on this earth were Adam and Eve, with the man coming first. And if we look in the Bible, I think in Genesis 2, it did say that the woman's curse is that the man must rule over her in marriage. And this is something that a lot of Christians believe, and when challenged, it's, met with hostility. Misogyny and religion are inextricable from each other, because at the end of the day, these are the fundamental teachings. And while yes, I do agree with you that, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't characterize him as a misogynist or he looked down upon women, because to be honest, he was the most feminist leaning in the whole Bible. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's still fundamentally patriarchal. And I just feel the reason why there's a lot of misogyny read in the Bible is because of, the socio-cultural time back then. It was heavily patriarchal back then. So it makes sense why their beliefs then would reflect in what's supposed to be the true word of God that everyone has listened to. I have experienced it personally, whereby I don't feel included, because I don't meet the idea of what a Christian man should be. So that is exactly why I always speak out against religious doctrines that push for patriarchy. That was why it felt deeply personal to me, and I felt the need to really point out that Abrahamic religions in particular are patriarchal.
I chose agree because I'm also Christian, whole family's Christian. The way that the church has done disservice to women in this country is actually atrocious. A marriage is literally a covenant. It's an oath, like two people take in front of God. The man broke his own side of the oath. We need to address, there needs to be accountability and there needs to be consequences. And I feel like the church has done so much to push accountability and consequences on just the woman. And because we haven't done a good job in addressing both genders, that's why there's so many issues in today's church in terms of how we don't protect not just women, but also young boys and girls in the church as well.
Organized religion is just a mess. People forget that the Bible itself has been translated so many times. You don't even know what the original text say. Actual Christians now, when they see what the original text of the Bible says, they're going to be shaking and they're going to have a full-on crash out, an existential crisis. There were apostles, there were pastors. Everyone that was supposed to go out there and spread the message was a man.
No, there are countless women. The women that followed Jesus.
They were their leaders in the church. I'm not saying that there were not women that were revered, but oftentimes the pastors, the preachers, the apostles, they were men. Or even the 12 disciples were men. Like, there were no women. If you speak about like Esther, Mary, but those are not necessarily women that were leaders. They were just women. In the olden days, we would all be fucking dead. She has a wig on, she has jewelry, we're mixing and matching different clothing types. That was not allowed. People don't understand that Christianity is allowed to evolve. It's generally a system that was built to oppress women. You're going to churches, people are saying, oh, my husband is cheating on me. Pastor, what should I do?
Pray for your cheating husband.
Pray for your cheating husband.
Come, what is glory?
What are you saying? Like, you're telling this woman that is clearly being oppressed to stay in her oppression. How does that sound right to you? I used to be an Anglican. This is generations of being an Anglican, by the way. That's all I've known. The bishop can never be a woman. The deacon can never be a woman. Altar boys, no altar girls. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And for you, people that don't know, the altar boys are people that, they help the priest in doing a lot of activities. There's certain things you cannot do as a woman in the church.
Certain things you can't even touch.
There's certain things you can't touch. Islam. What do you mean I can't pray when I'm on my period? I'm dirty. Why would you tell me that something that is inbuilt in me? This is the same creator that created me that's telling me, oh, I cannot be in his presence. I was aware that that would be there. Mind you, women pray at the back for a reason, so that the men in the front are not distracted. Why are you thinking about a woman that when you're supposed to be on holy ground? However, do I believe in God? Yes. Do I pray when I feel stuck? Yes. And that's why I'm saying I don't believe in organized religion. I only believe in Christianity. The leading cause of Christianity is love. God is love. I'm pretty sure if Jesus was on earth today, he's not gonna feel any type of way about gay people. I said it. Because back in the day, my nigga was rolling with prostitutes. My nigga was rolling with thieves. Let's not forget about that. We're not prostitutes or thieves, but I'm saying that he always embraced everyone and all. Like, that's what I'm saying. The whole base of Christianity is love. Hi, I'm Darosha Alfreda. I'm 24. I model, I style, I content create, and I'm a feminist. The way organized religion moves is very cult-like. I found myself kind of always having to question these beliefs. I didn't want to be a woman that was going to submit to a man, but like at the same time, what I believe told me that that was what I'm supposed to do. It did not sit right with me. And then when I had questions, I was told, oh, I didn't have the right to ask these questions. So it just never sat right with me.
I strongly agree that religion has destroyed feminism even before it even started. Do not question your husband.
Your Lord and your Savior.
Exactly, your Lord.
It's your Lord.
God has been the same, but the teachings have been twisted. Every day you come out and you hear things in church that would just change your knowledge about how you see marriage as a concept. He's a man, period, point blank. You're a woman, you're here, stay there.
My father used to be a pastor before he passed. Basically, I respect religion. The comprehension of it all has always been at the benefit of men. I'm no longer a Christian, but I would still like to pray because, like, I do believe in, like, a supernatural world, a supernatural being. Like, I believe in that, but I don't just subscribe to the community of Christianity right now because I was born into a Christian home. There was this video I saw on Twitter, had men kneeling down. I pray for your husband, and then they went when is the church going to say, pray for your wives? So like I was under the comments and there was this youth pastor and he goes, because you want to pray for your husband, you're telling him to do that. It will never happen in my church. And I'm like, when everybody just talks about misogyny, I'm like, look at him. Right there. I'm like, say hi to the camera.
Point and laugh.
I wanted to correct something you said. You said if Jesus was here, he would roll with the gays and all that. While he did that, it didn't mean like they should stay in their sin. Yes, he was loving, he was welcoming, but one thing we cannot deny is that Jesus was always like, yes, you were in your sin, but like, don't stay there. And also the point about like the man being the head, I don't think that necessarily is a bad thing because you need leaders in certain aspects. I feel like men are just highly responsible because that same place where he says, okay, men, you're the head of the house, he literally told them, love your wives, literally as Christ loved the church, that he was willing to lay down his life. Most men, all they hear is be the head. Yes, can you lay down your life for a woman? You're being highly irresponsible. So men being the leaders are not really the issue, is that, and women submitting is not really being the issue, is who you're choosing to submit to. Who want to submit to a fool, right? Forgive me. If you even ask me, no offense, I feel like men, if they are following the teachings of Jesus, they're supposed to be suffering more than we women because there's actually a lot of responsibility on their shoulders as men. But because they are just picking and choosing the parts that, okay, this one is benefiting me, so this is what I'll run with.
Hi. My name is Dafe. I'm 22. I'm a television presenter and independent filmmaker, and I also consider myself, in fact, I'm a wicked feminist. Okay. I live and breathe wicked feminism. In that moment, I literally mouthed the words, I'm triggered, because I was triggered by the statement. Just implying that queerness is a sin on its own is a sin. Why is that your measurement for who Jesus will be friends with or not? Does it like physically or actively impact your relationship with God? Does it actively impact your Christianity? Jesus is love, and that's like the tool for Christianity. That's like the communication method. What's like queerness is love as well. Like people are just expressing love in however way that they can and however way that they want to. And for you to say it's a sin, it means that you're already thinking, oh, it's a decision. You choose sins, like it's an active decision to commit a sin. If you are equating queerness as a sin, there's a problem somewhere because like you don't make that choice, you don't make that decision.
As Christians, I don't think we should be the ones pointing fingers or judging. The Bible did say welcome one and all. Even if you're trying to change them, the first step is accepting that they are humans and this is what they are.
There's actually a lot of hate towards them in the name of Christianity, and our Jesus, he didn't used to hate people. But one thing we cannot deny is that he would always call you out on your sin. So in as much as, yes, we see in the Bible that, okay, Jesus went around with prostitutes, but we have to understand that these prostitutes did not remain prostitutes with Jesus. After they came to Jesus, that lifestyle was gone. We have been called to a higher calling. We have been set apart, basically. So we cannot remain where we are and still claim that Christ has transformed us.
Marriage and motherhood limits a woman's freedom and potential.
I strongly agree. So my sister is like my best friend and she's been married for 5 years now. Marriage has not limited like anything about her. And that's because of the kind of person she married and the structure of their marriage. That's where I wanted to change my answer. But I looked at this, like, life doesn't revolve around just my sister and a perfect little marriage. Looking at the broader aspect of it all, I do agree that marriage and motherhood, especially in a place like Nigeria, culturally, has always like limited women to some extent. Buchi Emecheta had to walk through the entire London, dragging 4 kids and 1 in her stomach. When it comes to raising children, men have always gotten the easy hand.
Somewhat disagree because although I do understand where you're coming from, because marriage as a construct, especially in an African society like this, is literally slavery. At the same time, there are women that are excelling, that have marvelous
Beautiful
partners.
Makers, yeah.
Like when I tell you that marriage was the best thing that happened to these women, because they have partners that have sense, that are willing to invest in them, that want to see them grow. At the end of the day, we just need to, as women, love ourselves. So we don't put ourselves in situations with people that don't deserve us. More women need to be deadbeat moms. Let me say this to that camera. More women need to be deadbeat moms. Let's progress in male-dominated fields. I genuinely believe that your mind is the only thing that limits you. Simply because a system exists does not mean that you cannot break out of that system. As the product of a single mother, I've seen my mom build from nothing.
I chose slightly agree. I grew up in a home with a single mom. I watched my mom work hard. Every day I look at my mom and I'm like, wow, I want to be just like this woman. Whenever it would be limited to a woman that is married or that has a kid, it's when she has already decided within herself, like, you know what, let me just...
Yeah.
Where were the dreams that you had before you got married, before you became a mother? In as much as it does limit women, it shouldn't. My name is Ngeni Angel. I am 21, currently a third-year student studying international relations, and I'm a feminist. Most times you hear stories about women that had to go through a whole lot of bullshit with like men before like they finally decided that, oh, it's time to step up for myself. But I feel like the reason they even went through whatever they went through in the first place is because they always found themselves needing like the validation of men. And I feel like a lot of women place themselves under men like that. He knows that he can suppress you. He can be actively bullying you in your life, and you just see it as, my husband is just trying to protect me. My husband is just being the man of the house. Meanwhile, you're letting time slip away from you.
While I get where you're coming from, like, we have to remember again that while yes, our personal choices affect, how we live our lives, system is still there. The system will literally force you to conform no matter what you do, which is why I strongly agree, because while marriage and motherhood should not ever limit women's freedoms, unfortunately it does in Africa and Nigeria particularly, because we live in a very heavily patriarchal society. I think it was last year, NYSC, whereby women needed consent from their husbands because they've had their, legal last name changed.
NYSC,
you see, these are certain instances, like this is literally the system, like these are institutionalized.
I think we all agree here that like women aren't a monolith. So like there's women that obviously they excel in being homemakers. Like I'm gonna use my mom and dad as an example. For me, they set the standard in terms of like one, like marriage, but then also my mom as a woman, she set the standard for me in terms of like never lose sight of like what you want in life. And she made the right choices in picking my dad because she has a partner that helps her, that wants to see her excel and wants to see her fulfill her own dreams and such. And for her, that was being a homemaker. She was very comfortable with the idea of being at home raising kids. Not every woman enjoys being at home. Yeah. Not every woman enjoys working. Some people want to be stay-at-home moms or wives. Marry a man who wants to be a husband and a dad, not just half a wife and kids. Marry a woman who wants to be a wife and a mother, not just someone who wants a husband and kids. My name is Tomisin. I'm 22 years old. I'm currently interning at a diagnostic center. I feel like women who are more traditional are looked down today is simply because people are so focused on progression. They equate progression almost to meaning that we need to move as far away from this past thing as possible in order to progress. Women should be able to choose what they want to be and who they want to be. I feel like a lot of people are focused so much on trying to move away from that old definition of who a woman is that they don't realize that that's just one definition. There's multiple definitions, there's multiple choices women can have, and whichever one she chooses, it's okay.
I like the fact that, we're all saying we have experiences of people who haven't been limited by marriage, but on like the general perspective, yes, it actually does limit women. I don't know, I feel like we should give some women some sympathy in that area because unfortunately nowadays, some women are still raised to believe that the only option you have is to marry and have children. So it's almost like, yes, it's almost like they don't have any dream aside being a woman. It's okay if you want to stay in the house, but just so that you have other options. Right. So whenever you hear women that are like, okay, I feel like we should sympathize more with them rather than say, okay, why don't you have dreams? Because
I can't unfortunately, there's enough information out there.
Well, I get that, yes, there's a lot of information. I mean, when you think about people from the depth and inside village, you get it's usually where we're privileged with where we grew up and like the things we've seen.
It's 2025. Even if you're not on the internet, you know certain things right now that you did not know like 2 years or 3 years ago. The average woman definitely knows she has some sort of option. Let's be real. There are women that are selling, they're hawking. It might not necessarily be like a big source of income. You might not be a CEO, but you definitely need to have some. I'm sorry, I'm just very big on not sitting at home.
There are some people that their realities are so limited that they don't even know that there's a world outside the gender roles that they've been raised in. I know that, yes, we have the internet now. The average person has access to the internet, but we can't deny that there are still some places where some women don't even know that they have options in this life. I don't believe that it's wrong for a woman to be a housewife, but just know that you have options. That's not all you are called to be and all you should be in this life.
There are women that don't have choices. The father is coming to meet her, she's 14, and then he's telling her, you're getting married though.
Oh my God.
Do you know why she can't oppose that, even if she knows that she doesn't want to? Her friend got married last week.
I do understand where the other feminists were coming from. But at the same time, simply because a system exists does not mean that you cannot break out of that system. As the product of a single mother, I've seen my mom rich, I've seen my mom poor, I've seen my mom build from nothing. It's just your mind, honestly.
Men cannot be true feminists.
I would have chosen agreed, honestly, but then I'm a man and I'm here, so I actually do understand the sentiment when feminists express that men cannot be true feminists because, you know, they don't have the lived experiences of women. I would never understand what it's like for you people, but empathy is where, you know, my advocacy stems from, and that's why I, you know, support the feminist cause. I rather much identify as a male ally rather than a male feminist because of how tainted that name has been. Because typically, most male feminists, like, it's more about just, you know, the words like, yeah, I believe in gender equality. But then when you actually ask them to, like, you know, question their gender bias, it's like, that's just too much work for me. It's all I've known my whole life.
The reason I chose somewhat and not strongly is part of what you said about empathy, but also I feel like being an ally to a community, a lot of it is also being proactive, because in a way, when you benefit from a system, you're not actively combating that system, is you benefiting from it. So for that reason, it's like, I feel like men, as much as they 100% can identify and align themselves with feminism, they still somehow benefit from it. And it takes a lot of self-introspection and unlearning to actually say that, okay, I'm a true feminist. Like, I actually actively fight against these things every day.
Physically presenting, I look like a man, right? Even if I'm an effeminate man, I have like...
You still have that male privilege.
Male privilege. Part of the reason why feminism is personal for me, because again, most of the femphobia and, you know, femphobia that I've experienced is because I'm somewhat closely related to being like a woman. So like when people see me, just that liking of me being like a woman, they call me weak. That's for misogyny. So it's the misogyny that they have, they're projecting on me. So at that instant, I would benefit from feminism. I'm not a direct beneficiary. I would never be. But like just living in a better, healthier society would make me more comfortable with walking down the street and not being like, okay, somebody's looking at me in a type of way because of a patriarchal mindset that they have. For you to be a true feminist, you actually have to have just a little bit of misandry in you.
Exactly.
You have to have a little bit of misandry in you. Because like, how are you just okay with the people that keep winning? Feminism to me is just creating a world where we're protecting every woman and all women everywhere. I've experienced femphobia that stems from my liking to being a woman. So there was this one time I was talking to this person and I'm like, I cry like at every movie scene. And my friend was like, oh, Daffy cries all the time at everything. And he goes, why you go they cry? No be man you be. It's fucked up in this society.
I chose slightly disagree because I have had conversations with some men that seem to understand a woman's point of view when she says she has gone through this because of patriarchy in the society. I feel like empathy and humanity starts from understanding, like trying to push the movement that gives everybody 100% peace is definitely like a good thing. They can be feminists, but like acting feminism from their own point of view is good for everybody. It's good for the men, it's good for the women.
I chose strongly disagree. I do understand where you guys are coming from. The part being from experience. You have to experience certain things to fully be for the cause. Yeah. But at the same time, empathy is where a lot of these things come in. You can't say that you feel okay when a woman is being maltreated. Like, what does that say about you as a person? Not even as a man or a woman, as a person. I'm a huge advocate for trans rights, but I'm not a trans woman. I have trans friends, and they're the sweetest people in the world. But that does not mean that I am not going to fight for these women if I see that they are going to be maltreated simply because I'm a cis woman. You feel me? And I know that there are some men that, you know, they're only feminists for mad. They just want to get the...
Exactly.
Solely why I chose this was because I have these kinds of men in my life. There is no way that anyone in my circle is going to see someone maltreating me and stay shut about it. They're going to, these boys will legit fight you. One word, equality. If it's not that, then it's really not feminism, if I'm being honest. It's just, you know, a man and a woman seeing themselves as individuals and nothing else. pretty much. If you can regard a man and respect him in the same way you should regard a woman and respect her, and, you know.
I just strongly disagree because at the basic level, feminism is fighting for like equality and equity for women. And when I now choose my answer, I was now thinking that, there's also the part of lived experiences, like we've all said. Yeah. And truth is, if you haven't lived it, you might not be fully involved, but I don't think that is an excuse for you to not fight for it. So I think
if you hear feminist and the first thing you're thinking of is a woman, I don't know. I think your thinking is a little bit flawed.
I might have to disagree with that and agree with what he said, because when you do hear feminists, you think of women. Like the first thing that comes into your head is like a woman and like fighting for her rights. I was in a talking stage with somebody, and when he asked me some questions, he finished, he was like, up femco. And I was like,
what? Exactly. Like, you have to.
Don't even be a feminist. Leave me alone.
Feminism today is more about hating men than helping women.
Especially in Nigeria, people are co-opting the word and you're interchanging feminism with misandry. But I feel like society is not doing enough to combat the idea that misandry and feminism are one and the same when they're not.
I just strongly disagree because the whole concept of hating men to me does not exist. What helping women means in a patriarchal society is literally hating men. For example, now trying to advise women to no longer stay in abusive marriages. What misogynists here is that you want women to leave their marriages because, men are bad. These are like certain things that, would always continuously be perceived as hating men. Any feminist who's actually interested in advocating for women would be less bothered about what is perceived as hating men or not. Because at the end of the day, like, our goal is still helping women and to always remain helping women.
The reason why it seems like we hate men is because what are the main issues we're facing is men that are causing.
Exactly.
So, if we're going to talk about it, it's almost like we're hating men, but we're not hating you. Like you said, we're calling out your BS.
I strongly disagree because, first of all, can feminists just catch a break? Not everything is about men. The bedrock of feminism has always been and will always be to help all women everywhere and create a better experience. Experience matters. Everybody's talking always from a point of experience. As a woman, you must have experienced sexism in your life at least over 1 billion times. Now, I will visit the Nigerian police force and we can talk about key issues. Nigerian police women are not allowed to carry guns. 1.
They're not.
2. Nigerian police women have to take permission from their superior, that's their supervising officer, to get married. Like, you have to hand in.
That's how.
I think that's absolutely insane. Like, we've progressed in so many ways, but in some ways we're so far behind. Because I never knew that in some professions, women literally have to take permission from their workplace for a decision about their personal life. Like, that's crazy.
I feel like it's important not to confuse the frustration at patriarchy to hating of men. We don't hate men. We can't hate men. Like, men are a part of our everyday lives.
Exactly.
The whole point of feminism is to make sure that men and women alike have a healthier relationship, individually living together. Misandry may have stemmed from feminism, but feminism can and will never be misandry.
Personally, I do not subscribe to misandry. I do not subscribe to hate of any form. I don't think any misandrists are actually gone out of their way to kill a man. I was literally talking about how I had a stalker a few minutes ago, a few hours ago. And then why did this man start to stalk me? I said, I'm not going to date you. Take your L and go. So that's a very, very big example of misogyny. But I don't think we've ever heard of a misandrist. Even the one time that they tried to do that thing of that, I don't know if anyone was on Twitter that time with the pepper soup thing.
Oh, yeah. That was so funny. She didn't even have a Twitter account.
Exactly, and it ended up being a lie. Your fellow man raped a woman yesterday and you're still friends with him. What are we doing about it?
Because of feminism, women have more rights and privileges today than men.
I don't completely agree. In this 21st century, women still struggle. Feminism has helped, but it hasn't dismantled the whole values of patriarchy completely. Women are striving to get equality every day, but it has never been more than men.
So I would say you definitely disagree because personally, I think what you said is right. You can't have more than people that were already designed to benefit from a system, hence the patriarchy. So yeah, we're just getting what we should have gotten over like 100 years ago, and we don't even have everything yet. So I would pretty much say you're supposed to be in the red with us, oh my guy.
So I strongly disagree. I don't think like in this world right now, in any setting, no matter how we put it, in any context, women have more privilege than men. For me, feminism is a culture of communication. We demand this, we want this. Like right now, currently, we'll never get there to say that women have more privilege, like not in any context.
I disagree. We definitely do have more privileges. It might be minute, but I still believe that there are some places that women still like have certain privileges. It might seem small, but for example, when they say women and children first, it's still a privilege to you that the men can go and you get, and then you are being put first.
Well, I strongly disagree because I feel like work never starts. We have about hundreds of years before we can even achieve like gender equality. As for your point where you said that women are prioritized in certain cases, I feel like that still also stems from like patriarchy. When they say women and children first, it doesn't come from a place of, oh, we value them. It's more of they see them as resources. Anything where women are considered more still stems from misogyny. When I said women and children are seen as a resource, what I meant was, they are seen as like capital to like, restart the society, like, because, women are the life givers. So, and children are going to be the one who grow up to become the next, foundation of society.
What stopped you from going all the way to strongly disagree, and why you at somewhat disagree?
I think I misinterpreted the question because
okay.
I'm supposed to strongly disagree. So yeah, I would like to change my preset. I changed my answer from slightly disagree to strongly disagree because I misinterpreted the question, but my answer is solely based on strongly disagreeing from the fact that women have more privileges than men.
There was a time when women didn't have choices. When they're talking about like global leadership, they're thinking, oh, they don't have a say. Why are you not allowing them vote? Even whenever they give out privileges to women, it's from a misogyny point of view. Say, oh, let them go first, they're weak.
What is a privilege? Because whether it stems from misogyny, it's not right, but I mean, it still counts as a privilege.
Women and children have always kind of been resources. The women always end up getting sold to slave masters or to brothels or things like that. The children end up going to child labor. So, and this has always existed, mind you. It is not a privilege.
Can someone just define privilege?
I think privilege is an unearned advantage on the basis of, something. Like, for example, now I have male privilege simply just because I'm male.
And it has to be beneficial for, like, even in this situation, I don't think it benefits women as well. That situation doesn't benefit women.
If it was in the previous times now when, okay, it was just for their, to be sold and all those things that you mentioned, I would understand. But like in this day and age, if we're still going off that mindset, then there's no reason why they should be saying women first. But still today, we still enjoy that kind of thing. So
while instance of modern day privilege that we are enjoying as women.
I mean, I can't say one, but I'm not still saying that.
Then I don't think you're exactly, my bad. If you don't have actual sources, if you don't have an actual example to give to me, then that just tells me you're just going off either what you've been told or what you just solely believe. It's not facts.
If women have gained like some kind of privilege, I don't think feminism would be like on the high rise as it is right now.
It almost seems like when we're speaking, like we've not made any progress. That's the way it sounds. And I highly disagree with that. Obviously, there are still like rampant cases where in corporate spaces, they're looking down on women, I get. But we cannot deny that there are still some places.
Oh, yeah,
like
for sure.
In my workplace, I know that doesn't happen. I know it stemmed from like, okay, women are, the weaker, or, they should take care of women. But in my opinion, that is a privilege because it is literally a privilege that if something is happening, they're going to take care of you first. I wasn't saying that we have more privilege. I was just saying that there are some aspects that we have privileges. And sometimes I feel like they almost make it seem as if we don't have anything, that we have not made any progress. And I was just trying to say that there are some things and there are some privileges that we actually do enjoy. It's almost like because, okay, we are still facing these things that we don't want to acknowledge those ones.
Women are equal to men.
Okay, do not crucify me, right?
You're not dying yet.
I do think when it comes to equity and human rights, women are just as deserving of it as men. Biologically, women are actually like basic fact different to men. There is the case of nature versus nurture. And I do agree that when it comes to socialization, there's some things women are socialized to do and there's some things men are socialized to do. But then I also do feel as though there are some things that women can be more naturally inclined to than men and vice versa. And for that reason, I wouldn't say that like just blanket statement, men are equal to women and vice versa. And that's not to say one is superior, one is inferior. I just feel like we're not one and the same.
The whole point of feminism is for women to be equal to men. And I don't think we are going to get there if we don't identify as being equal to men.
Equal in what regard?
Equal in the fact that we can do the things that men do. We don't have to report to men. Biologically, we're not one and the same, but there's nothing stopping a woman from saying, I can't do this. I can be a woman in STEM too.
Obviously,
and I can do
I'm a woman in STEM, yeah.
See, in that sense, she is equal to the man.
Yeah, of course.
Feminism is the equality and freedom for all women. I decided to become a feminist when I had to go through a certain bad experience at childhood that put me as a girl child below what men should be. From then on, I decided that different women, like different parts and like different places in life have probably experienced things like this. And as time went on, different other experiences informed my decision.
The thing is that, like, why is it that, like, when we hear the word equality, we think of sameness? I mean, in the law, it's stated that all human beings are equal, but nobody interprets that as all human beings are the same. Yeah. So equality does not mean sameness. I just wanted to, like, like, touch on that. So anytime people say women are equal to men, like, it just means that, we should be treated, fairly, equally, and under the law, not that, women and men are the exact same thing. Women are already equal to men. Feminism is just telling them that.
Like, how do we measure the value? How do we come to a decision that this gender is higher than this? Having like a penis and balls, it's not like how we come to the decision, because
why is penis and balls the high?
Like,
have you seen a penis?
Point blank, the statement is just women are equal to men.
There is equality and there is equity.
Yeah. Exactly, that's why.
And that's why I sort of understand what she's saying.
Exactly.
She's discussing equity while saying equality.
A huge topic now is sports, right? I feel like it's a disservice and it's also like borderline like a safety hazard to ignore that biologically speaking, we truly aren't the same. And I think that's okay, because I feel like part of equity is acknowledging that there are differences that need to be made up so everyone can truly have the same level and quality of life and living. That's it. I'm the only person that disagreed with the idea that men and women are equal. And I also felt comfortable being the only person that disagreed, because growing up, I'm used to thinking differently. And that's not to say I'm right or I'm wrong. At the end of the day, we're all feminists, so we all agree that at its intrinsic value, we're all human beings. We all have rights that shouldn't be denied to us. We all deserve respect and we all deserve to be like held in the same regard. But then also, like, I'm someone that's very logical. I don't ignore like plain facts. Like, men and women literally are not like the same. We're both human, but we're not the same. I feel like feminism, I think we need to be more focused on equity rather than equality, because I do feel like equality will still somewhat do a disservice to women. We haven't gotten to a point where we can just say everybody gets the same level of treatment.
I am proud to be a feminist.
I expect nothing less.
We're fighting for a good cause. There's no better thing than seeing people united against something that is seen at our mental capacity at being better people. Like, this is like a whole revolution. We are happy feminists. Everybody should be feminist.
Everyone should be feminist.
It pays to just be a sensible person. That's what I'm just going to say. It's just against good or bad. And bad is clearly the people that are not feminists. So clearly there's something wrong with you if you genuinely look at a woman and say, oh, this person, she's supposed to be scrubbing my floors. She's not supposed to be in an office somewhere. Like,
as one who wasn't proudly feminist like a few years ago,
Welcome to the light, honey.
Thank you. It was indeed life transforming. What I would say as per why I wasn't feminist, apart from like the whole men hating thing, is because of like there was that whole like bad connotation around feminism before. And when I started identifying as a feminist, I used to like, I don't want to say look down, but I'll be like, why aren't you feminist? Are you okay? Do your research. Like, what is feminism at its core? Equal rights for everyone. Like, you can't even deny that women have been oppressed in certain areas. If you're denying that, then you're just not living in reality and you're lying to yourself.
To piggyback off of her, I just want to say that like education is a threat to any system of oppression. Yes. I feel I'm such an advocate for education and educating yourself, because I always felt as though like in any case, like racism, colorism, sexism, like even like homophobia, anything, people who are being enabled by that system of oppression always feel threatened by those who are educated themselves. Everyone should just strive to be better people, strive for equality, and strive to make your neighbor have as good quality of life as they can. That's literally.
It was just very interesting to see everyone's takes because, to be fair, I did come with the knowledge that definitely not every feminist thinks the same.
And we should really, really focus more on helping the women. Feminism is not misandry.
Feminism is not a bad idea, and you should stand in your feminism, stay in your truth, express it, let it be a part of your everyday culture.
Be bold. See, you see that? When I walk into a room, people hear me. That's the type of person I need you to be. I need you to come into a space and take up space.
Don't let anyone deceive you into thinking that, oh, you know, there's no need for feminism because women are enjoying. There are lots and lots of areas that still need to be touched.
I want you to know that there is nothing wrong in believing in equal rights. I want you to know that there's nothing wrong about you, and that despite the fact that, you know, patriarchy is everywhere, misogyny is in everything, you are doing the right thing, and you remember as being on the right side of history.
And if you're saying that, okay, you support women's rights, but you're not a feminist, please identify as a feminist today. We have a long way to go, and we need more hands.
If you're a feminist, you're doing such a good job, and we love you. There's all the love over here.
Oh, guys,